Hey, hi, hello, and welcome. If you are new here, my name's Emma, and I love geeking out about musical theater, and so I created this little YouTube thingamajig to geek out about it. So there's a bit of a backstory before we start this little video. When I was young and naive, what am I doing? What am I talking about? When I was younger, one of the main things that my brother and I would do with our dad is that we would always go to Borders. It was this magical place that's basically like Barnes & Noble but better. Borders was my Disneyland back in the day, okay? Does that make sense? No? We're just gonna go with it. And back in the day, before streaming thingamajigs were a thing, we were able to listen to CDs and recordings and whatnot of music that we want to buy. Of course, I would always be in the soundtrack musical theater cast recording section, and there was this one CD that I would always see for a couple of weeks, very confused as to what it is, but the album cover itself made me question even more things because it was a star-studded cast in this cast recording. It was Nathan Lane, Carol Burnett, Bernadette Peters, Tommy Tune, and Mike Myers. I finally bought it, and one of the main things that really wanted me to get it was because A, I knew that this was a super random find, and B, it actually had additional videos for bonus footage kind of thing. One was about creating the album, and the more that I watched it and the more that I was watching the guy who wrote the lyrics and the book to this musical, I was like, wait a minute, is that James Lipton? And yes, it was. And he wrote a musical. Actually, he wrote two musicals, but we're just gonna focus on this one. So today we're gonna talk about Sherry, the musical, written by James Lipton. It's crazy. It is crazy. When I talk to y'all about this, it's lit. So Sherry the musical is based on the play The Man Who Came to Dinner by Moss Hart and George Kaufman, which, side note, guess which other one of their plays was musicalized? If you guess right, you win nothing. I'm gonna do my best to try to explain the synopsis of this show. So this guy, Sheridan Whiteside, he is a well-known critic. He has his own radio show. He's doing a cross-country tour and somehow agrees to have dinner at this family's house. And instead of having dinner, he ends up injuring himself on the front steps to the house, and chaos ensues, mainly focusing on the storyline between Sheridan Whiteside and his secretary, Maggie Cutler, who has fallen in love with a playwright in the area and wants to quit her job and get married, and Sheridan is like, man, that's too much for me to handle and I don't want to hire someone new, so I'm gonna create havoc. And havoc ensues, chaos ensues, a very cute boy choir comes in to sing Silent Night at the end of Act 2, and by the end of Act 3 everyone is hunky-dory and happy, and yeah, that's basically the gist of it. If you're interested in watching it, the 1942 film starring Bette Davis as Maggie is available on HBO Max. It is fabulous. But if you want to see a stage adaptation, someone on the YouTubes has uploaded the PBS broadcast of The Man Who Came to Dinner back in 2000, starring Nathan Lane, How Fitting, and Jean Smart. Now, when it comes to making this into a musical, I have no idea. I have no idea who said, hey, let's make The Man Who Came to Dinner into a musical. All I know is that Martin DaCosta was signed on to direct after being turned down to direct the musical adaptation of the play Auntie Mame, which he directed. He ended up having a few snafus along the way since doing that. He also directed the original Music Man, so instead of doing the musical Mame, he ended up signing on to do Sherry. As for John Lipton, he was signed on to write the book and the lyrics. He did one musical beforehand, which was in 1962, called Nowhere to Go But Up, which actually was a vehicle that led Dorothy Loudon to start her career. It was her career starting credit thingamajig, and also the assistant choreographer was Michael Bennett, and Bob Avian was in the ensemble. Nowhere to Go But Up for those three, you know? Got what I'm saying? Originally, James Lipton wanted to be a lawyer, but decided to be an actor because he was making more money that way. Can't relate. He also wrote several soap operas. So with all of his background, it was kind of a no-brainer that he would end up somehow getting into the writing aspect of musical theater. In terms of putting up the show, it was a chaotic hot mess, apparently. The lead in the show, Morton DaCosta and Ron Fields, who originally choreographed Cabaret back in 1964. Was it 64? They were both fired, but DaCosta maintained the directing credit for the show. Why that is, no one knows. Well, probably someone knows, but I just couldn't find it. Trying to find information on this show was very difficult. Sherry, the musical, opened at the Alvin Theater on March 28th in 1967 after 14 previews and ran for 72 performances, which actually is not that bad. I mean, it was obvious that it's a flop, but the fact that it ran for over 2 months. That's not bad. Now, in terms of reasons why this wasn't as much of a success as the team hoped it would be, there are some things that are a little bit obvious as to why, mainly because James Lipton basically took the script and copy and pasted it into the musical, which I think works in some degrees. Lipton said that the original material is just too good to edit. They didn't really do much in terms of rewrites and switching things around, although they did try to expand the world of the play since it's only located in the living room of the house. They tried to expand it out to the skating rink that is mentioned. That's what they did for their climactic Act 2 moment, having them at a skating rink. So here's where the real story kind of begins. After the show closes, things got packed up, things got sent out to various places. When it came to the orchestrations for the show, they were packed up and sent to the writer's publisher. However, they never arrived. And so they kind of feared the worst happened, which was it actually got mixed up with pieces from the set and was at a landfill randomly in New Jersey somewhere, never to be found again. However, 30 years later, James Lipton, who is now super famous for Inside the Actors Studio, he gets a call from music producer Robert Scher, and he said that he found the orchestrations at the Library of Congress. What? How they got there? I don't know. This whole story is just riddled with mystery and mysteriousness that when it comes to trying to fill in details, it's very spotty. And so if anyone else is a fan of this musical and knows more information, please leave your notes and comments below because I want to read them. But once Robert Scher found these recordings, he proposed to Lipton for an all-star cast recording to preserve the material. And of course, Lipton said, hell to the yes. Angel Records produced it. It's a very popular record producing company that quite a few people have recorded cast recordings with. It was actually recorded over a period of 3 years, and the orchestral portions were done in Bratislava, maybe, I'm sorry for mispronouncing that, and Prague. Vocals were done in New York City, and then the editing and the mixing were done in St. Louis, Missouri. This is great. I freaking love this story. It's so random. As for the performers, the people that I mentioned before, Nathan Lane, Carol Burnett, Bernadette Peters, Tommy Tune, Mike Myers, Tom Wolpett is also on it. I didn't know about him until hearing this recording. But other people that were in it included Lillias White, Phyllis Newman, and also James Lipton himself playing the Doctor. It was released in 2003. If you do digging, you'll find it, but it's not available to stream on Spotify or Apple Music at the moment. Someone has uploaded a playlist of it on YouTube. I did find a CD of it available on eBay for $12, and I was very tempted to buy it. I do remember really enjoying it. Carol Burnett's comedic humor with Nathan Lane is like mwah. If you go on YouTube, there is actually a clip from the bonus videos that's on the CD, and you can watch Tom Wolpett and Bernadette Peters sing With This Ring, and James Lipton gives a little bit of commentary, and you also see him record one of his tracks as the Doctor. One of the things that I really love about it is that you just see the amount of love that James has for this musical in itself. It's always that show that I always remember about, and I always feel like it's a bizarre fever dream because I don't understand how it came into my knowledge or possession that for some reason this Borders in West Lebanon, New Hampshire had a copy of Sherry. It's one of those musicals that I feel like will always have a special place in my heart, and I think it's a very beautiful love letter to musical theater and theater as a whole, in my opinion, especially when you think about James Lipton's career after writing the musical, with everything that he did with Inside the Actors Studio. I think he created this really beautiful way of connecting communities between one another, being able to connect people from TV, film, and theater all in one place. And I think this story in itself is just so unique, and of all the people to be a part of it is just so fascinating and wild, and I think just really, really neat. As for the show itself not working out, it's kind of not surprising. It sounded like it was a disaster waiting to happen, which is also a little bit ironic because the other Kaufman Hart play that was adapted into a musical was also an instant flop. So that's the show in a nutshell. That's the story. That's it. If you ever get a chance to listen to the music, I will link the YouTube playlist down below if you want to check it out, as well as the links to watch The Man Who Came to Dinner with Nathan Lane and Jean Smart. It's a fun little tidbit that I've always had in the back of my brain, and I keep forgetting that it exists. And then I finally remembered about it, and I thought, wait, this is the reason why I love talking about musical theater, is talking about these random things, and this is perfect for this channel. So there you have it. Thank you so much again for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed it. What do y'all think of this? James Lipton writing a musical, to be exact. Also, to the new subscriber peeps, hello, welcome. You are all fabulous and wonderful. Please leave a comment down below and say hi. I would love to meet my community. Let's hang. I'm excited because I feel like we might get to 500 soon, and that means I can have a community tab and chat with y'all through there. Thank you all again so much for watching. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe and at ease and free from harm, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.
With this ring, I'm rolling my love.
Okay.
We are absolutely ecstatic.